welcome to the show tonight with Chatting It Up with CJ. I'm your host, CJ Lester, and tonight we are having the pleasure to have this, Dr. Tene Davis. Hey, how you doing tonight?
Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, CJ and audience.
Yes, so first tell us about yourself a little bit, how you got here in Rockdale and all that good stuff.
Well, like you said, my name is Tene Davis. I'm a Georgia native, originally from Decatur, Georgia, moved to Athens with my mother, father, and sister when I was 9. So I grew up in Athens. So I claim Athens also.
All
Then
right.
I went to Howard University in DC, stayed there for my undergrad and my master's, got my master's in curriculum instruction with a focus on elementary education. I knew I wanted to come back to Georgia. And because of a scholarship that I got while I was getting my master's, I had to teach in an urban setting. And so, which was fine. This is where I wanted to teach anyway. So I came to Atlanta to teach. And so I taught in APS, Atlanta Public Schools, 5th grade, loved it, loved it, loved it. But while I was at Howard, I knew that I wanted to get into policy because I knew I wanted to make a substantial change on the educational system. And so after teaching in an APS for a little while, about 4 years, I went to Georgia State University and entered into the PhD program, Educational Policy Studies. And I started working as a graduate research assistant with the early college program, the first in the state of Georgia. We brought 11th to 12th graders to college.
All right.
I did that for 5 years, got a PhD in 2012. They asked me to stay. So I became the associate director of the program. During this time, I met my husband, Jarvis Davis, at our church. We go to Berean Christian Church in Stone Mountain, Georgia. We were living in Decatur. I was living in Decatur at that time. Got married in 2012, had our first child in 2016, Kinley Davis. Continued, we were still working. I was still working at Georgia State, running the early college program. And then as we were getting pregnant with our second child, we knew we wanted something a little different.
Right.
We liked the cab, but it was getting a little crowded in the cab.
Yeah.
So, we wanted something a little different. Our realtor brought us out here, and we fell in love with Rockdale. Now, I've been familiar with Rockdale because, again, I'm a Georgia native. And whenever we would come back, even though we lived in Athens, we still had a connection to Decatur and Atlanta. And so for me, in my head, Rockdale was on the way to Athens. So we always passed through Rockdale. So we saw, I saw High Tower Trail, the elementary school being built.
Yeah.
And I saw everything being built up throughout the years, but I never really knew Rockdale. And so we came out here. And we just fell in love. We have, an acre of land. We have a nice house that didn't cost too much. Now, I don't think we could afford it now. We tried to move out here now.
Right.
But, it was just a nice standard of living. I tell this story all the time, CJ. So I was pregnant with Eva, my now 4-year-old, when I came out here. So I asked my husband to do a lot of the groundwork when it went to changing over lights and our tags on our cars and things of that nature. So he called the office so we could change over our license. And he said, Tene, someone actually answered the phone and they were nice. I was like, yes, we made it. We made the right decision.
Right. Yeah.
We made the right decision. So we have really, really enjoyed Rockdale.
And I think that's why everybody else likes it too, because it's more like a community and everybody knows everybody still. We're big, but we still know everybody.
Yes, it reminds me of Athens because when I was growing up in Athens, Athens has grown. But when I grew up in Athens, there were only 90,000 people there. And, it's the smallest county land-wise, and Rockdale is the next smallest county land-wise.
So I feel, the same thing.
Huh?
We're about the same then.
Yeah. I mean, you can get
I think that's how many we have now, just about. I think we have about
94,000.
94, okay. Yeah,
94. 94. And so we've just enjoyed being here. I love my community. My community it's the DRRC, the Deer Run Recreation Corporation. And so we have a swim team. And so my 8-year-old, she was then 4, immediately joined the swim team during COVID, which gave her something to do because, we were outside, we were able to be outside. So we've thoroughly enjoyed it. She went to flat shows for pre-K, for virtual pre-K, had a wonderful teacher then everyone said, Tene, you've got to put her in Lorraine. You just got to. And so I said, okay, let's try it. Had a great kindergarten teacher. It was her last year teaching. So after Kinley, she was going to retire, but you would not have known it. She wasn't tired. She put in as much work. This last year, she probably did her first year. So loved her. Had a great first grade teacher. Now she's in second grade. Eva has grown up. Now she's 4 years old. She's down at Georgia State, in the Georgia State preschool. And we've just thoroughly enjoyed ourselves here. I still remain working at Georgia State. Then I took a year off and I became PTO president last year.
That was a lot of it.
It was. Okay, so CJ, when I told my husband that I wanted to take a year off, he said to me, you're going to be bored. I said, that's right. CJ, I did not spend one day sleeping in when I was PTO president. It was that much work.
People say that with the retirement. You don't stop working when you retire either. So,
That is so true.
Yeah.
And I love working in my community anyway. So I said, there's always something to do in the community. And so I became PTO president, loved it, was able to get more entrenched within the Rockdale community, the school community. And now I have gone back to work. Now I work for the National Benevolent Association. It's a nonprofit. I'm the Young Adult Leadership Development Director. So I work with 18 to 30-year-olds now. At first it was K through 12. Now 18 to 30. So I'm learning how to work that population now. It's a little different than my K through 12ers, but I'm learning how to work that population now. But honestly, CJ, they have some of the same needs, the belonging and wanting to be loved, so that.
I know I don't look it, but I'm 35, so,
you're just right out of there. Yeah.
But I know I look younger, but I think all millennials look like that for some reason. I don't know what they put in.
Y'all have had an easy life, CJ.
I guess so. But I don't know what it is. But so what made you decide to run? Since we're talking about all this, so what made you decide to run?
So CJ, I knew I would always be a part of the school system because I'm an educator and that's just my life. That's my purpose. But I thought I would be more on the grassroots, parents rallying the troops. We can do this, not in necessarily holding office. But I was encouraged, to be honest. There were some things I didn't like. Again, I've always said I'm not here to tear down the school system.
In a minute.
I'm not here to tear down the school system, but there are some things that I just did not agree with. I just did not. And for me, I'm always into working with the people, working with the higher ups, no matter who it is. But I just didn't get that feeling, CJ. Like I went down to the board meeting when there was a decision made. I went down to the board member meeting thinking I'll just talk to superintendent, talk to the board, maybe get on his calendar so we can have a conversation. That was not the case, CJ. They were not interested in anything the community had to say. And so I said, oh, wow, this is different,
Yeah.
And so I knew I had to then become intimately involved. And honestly, CJ, I was asked by multiple people to run. This was not something that was on my plate to do. I'm happy. I'm happy I'm doing it, but this was not. In fact, I resisted. I said no. I was asked to do this 2 years ago. And I was like, no. But I said, I just want to work with the parents. Like we can do this from the grassroots. And I think I still want to work with parents, but I also want to work within the system to help shift the system.
Gotcha. So let's go ahead with the first question. Are you familiar with the state of Georgia stats on Rockdale County schools? And if you are, can you elaborate on a little bit of them?
Yes, I'm familiar with some of the statistics. So again, I've been in the school system. I've studied statistics for years. And so I know you can't judge an entire school system just by statistics. There are things within the school system, intangibles that are important. But I also understand that stats are important also. The statistic that is most disturbing to me is our content mastery. So content mastery means our students mastering the content within that grade, and so that they can be successful in the next grade. And for high school, our high schoolers mastering the content within high school so that they can have a successful post-secondary life. And according to the state, we are below state standards at all levels, CJ, elementary, middle, and high.
Wow.
So our elementary school students are going to middle school having not mastered the elementary standards. Our middle school students are going to the high school having not mastered the middle school standards. And our high school students are being sent into the world without having mastered what they needed to master in elementary, middle, and high. That's most of our schools, not most of our students, not all of our students, but we're not even meeting state standards. It's not even 60%. It's not even, most of it is not even 40%. Excuse me, not even 50% of half of our students are not even mastering content. That's an issue. Yeah. We are an educational institution. So our priority has to be educational excellence, academic achievement, and we are not fulfilling the priority. Right. That's an issue.
Is those stats, are they on the education site, or where did you find
yeah, the state Board of Education. I can give that to you, but yeah, they're on the state Board of Education.
And like I said, I work at Quick Trip, and when the people are coming in to get hired, our registers do not show what's given back on the register. So when they come in, they are having to learn how to count back the change because they didn't learn how to do it.
Oh.
So.
So you won't do that on purpose?
I think they do. I think it makes for more accurate counting.
Oh, wow.
So when they come in and the students, because, we hire 16, 17-year-olds, I think. So when they come in to train, they don't know how to count that change.
Yeah.
So how can you, knowing these stats, what are you going to do to change that?
So first is always needed support at the school level. Our entire focus has to be at the school level. What is it that the teachers need? Is it extra programming? Is it additional professional development? Is it SEL? Is it social emotional learning so that the kids can be there to learn? So I know at one point there was funding for Kumon, and now there's no longer funding for Kumon, and the kids were actually doing well, improving with that funding. So
can you elaborate a bit what that is?
Oh, I'm sorry. So Kumon is an educational. Yeah, it's an educational service. I think it's a for-profit educational service entity. So students go there after school, and usually parents pay, for that. But the district was paying for it for those students who needed extra help. The district had money to pay for it, but the district no longer has money for that. It's no longer there. And that's just as of last year. Then with the speech. It's very important to be able to attend to the needs of those students who have extra needs. Right now, I've heard from too many parents talking about the special education process, getting an IEP, individualized educational plan. Those parents who need that, they just say it is such a hard process to get my children the necessary resources that they need to be successful. I have a friend whose child was in speech. She's now having to take her child to another entity for speech because her child goes to speech via Zoom in a group setting. Yeah. That is not the most optimal setting for speech. My child, Eva, has been in speech since she was months old. She was diagnosed with sensory processing disorder. So she's been at children's speech therapy, occupational therapy, feeding therapy. Thankfully, she has placed out of those therapies. But CJ, what if there's a need to go back into speech? Right. You think I want to allow my child to do speech in a group setting online? No, that's not the most optimal way.
We were talking about that too. It was Larry and them Saturday, and after school, we need to have programs designed for inside the school. For the parents that work overnight, or they can't come get their kids after school. So what do we do with those kids?
Right. I mean, you can have supplemental, but the supplemental should be available in school. CJ, it's a law. It's a federal law. So when these students, like I said, my friend's child for months was not receiving speech, and I said, they're violating the law when they don't give your child the supplemental instruction that she needs.
Interesting.
So
So
we
what
cannot
happens
get
with that? Do you know if they violate the law? What happens with that? Or
well,
what's the
parents can sue. Oh, parents can
okay?
sue. But what the districts try to do is say we'll make it up. So they told her to come in last summer and have her child do, because her child didn't get speech from January until May. And so they said, come in during the summertime and we'll have your child make it up. And she said, I refuse to allow my child's summer to be burdened by that. So she's like, no, I'll do it on my own. So she's going to pay out her pocket. And, you know, so, but not every parent can do that. you know. Not,
oh, yeah. Right.
So
it's already expensive as it is. And can you, if you can, elaborate on that law, if you know that law about the suing? All right. Well,
so if you go to the Georgia Department of Education, it may not even be the Georgia Department because it is a federal law. It deals with equal. Oh, I have to get it back to you because I learned this so long ago. I'm sorry. So I learned this so long ago, but it deals with equal educational opportunities for all children. If your child is diagnosed with some type of disability, it may be under the disability law, one of those federal disability laws. Yeah. But if your child is diagnosed with a disability, then the district has to provide the necessary supplemental education that attends to that disability. Yeah.
And got a question here. Leading up to this and working with kids at Quick Trip, I hear, like at Rockdale especially, that there's a lot of gangs and even been, you know, guns brought to school. So what do you think needs to be happening to address the discipline issues?
So I talked about this on my live last Thursday. CJ, I'm just a big firm believer in discipline. And I don't see that discipline should get in the way of academic achievement. So for me, it's setting the expectations first, early, and living into those expectations and making sure that the teachers, the students and the parents know the expectations and know what happens when and if you decide not to follow the expectations. And honestly, it's that simple. If we don't follow through with the consequences that happen as a result of students and parents not following through with not living up to the expectations, then they will never do it. On top of that, you have to make sure that the parents and the students understand that what your mission is, and you will live into that mission. We as an educational institution will live into that mission. What is the mission? The mission is to make sure that your child gets a great education and your child has options for the future to decide to do whatever they want to do with it, whether it's school, whether it's training school, internship or apprenticeship, whatever it is.
Because everybody not college, so.
Right.
So
your child has an array of options. And if the parent and the student sees that our educational system is living into that mission, they will be there, especially the parent will be there to help support that and to get their children in line. But if the teacher, the parent doesn't believe that we're here for that purpose, why are they supporting us? If the student doesn't believe that we're here to care for them, love on them, and educate them, then why would they listen to us? And then on top of that, when the teachers do demonstrate that, when the administrators do demonstrate that, and the parents and students don't want to buy into that, then there has to be consequences.
Right.
So my whole thing is, this may sound a little rough. This is what we believe here. If you're on board, come on. If you're not, go somewhere where you can be on board with that mission. But this is our mission. And
we don't want to interfere with this stuff at home, but is there classes that parents can take to learn how to do that, or how does that work?
So,
or if that's possible, like I was saying, don't want to interfere at home.
Right. So a couple of things. I ran the early college program, and most of my students were first generation college goers. That means their parents had not gone to college, grandparents, no one had gone to college. So before they came to Georgia State, my 11th and 12th grades came to Georgia State, I held 2 mandatory parent meetings. We had a summer enrichment. So the parents had to come to the summer enrichment meeting before the child started the summer enrichment. Then we had a meeting about what the next 2 years will look like for your child at Georgia State. And we had a manual. we walked them, and I wrote the manual. So we walked them through the manual because I needed the parents to be on board. The parents said, Dr. Davis, I don't know this college stuff. I didn't go to college. I don't know what professors hours, office hours, and sending an email to the professor. And, they just didn't know the nuances and the operations of college. So we taught them. And then the last year I was there, we actually got a grant to institute in our summer enrichment a 3-day parent class. And CJ, I'm kind of like you. I was a little hesitant about telling parents how to be parents, but they actually came and they were so excited to come to Georgia State. We had it, via Zoom also, but sit in the Georgia State college class and hear how they can support. It was supporting your early college student. It's like a parent's one-on-one class, how to support your early college student. And they loved the class and they were receptive to it. I was relieved because I was like, I don't want parents to think that I'm trying to tell them what to do.
That's what I want to bring with this platform. So if we would like to hold one and have a class, I will open this platform up for you. And that's what we need in the county because we don't have any support, and these students need to straighten up in a better line, so that people can learn. So,
I did not play with education. I did not play with discipline, CJ. I had some people who try to get out of line, but for the most part, they knew Dr. Davis is not play. My parents knew I don't play. They said they said Dr. Davis does not play, but they understood where I was coming from. They knew I cared. Oh my gosh, I will go to the ends of the earth for their children. I would. But the children better come correct. They better come correct because I'm not dealing with mess. I promise you, we don't have time to deal with mess. This is your future. This is your future. So we don't have time. And if you want to deal with mess, go to the place where they allow mess because it's not here. That's my thing. If that's what you want to do, if you want your children to fight, if you want your children to curse people out, curse out administrators, curse out teachers, curse out custodians. If you want that, if you want your children to skip class and all that stuff, go to where they allow that because it can't be here. Because we have a mission and purpose.
Right. That's what our new mission should be. That's what we should start getting out. The message is that we're here. So
yes, and it's just that simple. We have a mission and purpose to make sure your children have every opportunity in life to be whoever they want to be. And if you're not a part of that mission and purpose, then this is not where you need to be.
Right.
So it's just that simple to me. It's just
right. So I got 2 questions, but they can go with each other.
Okay.
What is your responsibility on the school board? And then somebody asked, can you explain what the different posts mean for the election, like your post 5 and all that?
Okay. So the school board has 3, and I'll tell you the 4th one also. The 3 main responsibilities. Policy making, to write the policy. And y'all know I love policy. I love writing policy. So to write the policy, governance, and then also the budget, we're the bank. And then the last one, hire and fire superintendent. So that's up to the school board to do. So, those are very worthy and hefty responsibilities. We are not designed to be in the day-to-day operation of the school. That's the superintendent, but it's our job to write the policy. The policy will help provide for the practices, the day-to-day practices. So if you write an effective policy, the day-to-day practice have to abide by and fulfill the mission of the policy. So if you don't have effective policy, you're not going to have effective practices. Right. So then that's that. And then governance. How is the school being governed? How's the whole district being governed from the top level? And then the last thing is the budget. Where are the finances going? Are they going to where they need to go? Do we have the finances at the bottom where it needs to, where it's touching children? So that's the, and then of course, hiring and firing of the superintendent.
Right. And do you know the difference between the posts, like your post 5?
So it's so interesting because when I moved out here, I just assumed that Rockdale was like many other communities where you have different districts. So you'll have post/district can be interchanged. So for example, I live in South Rockdale in the Lorraine district. So you would think that this post was just representing the people in this district. But for Rockdale, all the posts are at large, and at large means everyone in the county votes for each one. So Rockdale citizens have a massive undertaking, because unlike in many other districts where I would just be responsible for voting for one person, and the one person who represents my area that I live, my district, and I would just be responsible for having to research that one person, or those couple of people who are running. Residents, we as residents, we have to know all 7 posts. So right now, the first 5 posts are up. Posts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are all up for re-election. So we have to do our research to know all the opponents, all the people who are running. So it's a lot. It's a lot.
So hopefully if we ever get to districts, or, well, you suppose they're the same thing, because the county commission needs to go to a 5-person board, then they kind of could align them together that.
They could.
So, somebody else has a question. Update regarding on the previous message to students only need a D to participate in sports. So
that's interesting, because I played sports in middle school. Well, I played sports elementary, middle, and high, and I know you
marching band.
So I was in the band too. I did flag corps though. My sister played the trumpet. My sister did
percussion. I was on the front line. So.
See, I was in orchestra, and my mother made me join orchestra in 5th grade. And so by the time I got to high school, I was like, I don't want to change. I played the violin, so I just did. I did flag corps, and I did basketball and softball, and I did track. And we had to stay eligible. And for us, eligibility was a C. I didn't know it was a D. So I mean, that is interesting to know. I don't think it should just be a D. But
right. I think, in my point of view, I think everybody should have the chance to play sports or marching band if they want to, even if they are lower grade or have, difficulty learning. What do you feel about that?
Well, if you have difficulty learning, then you should get the necessary supports. No one should be failing. And the D to me is not educational excellence. My whole thing is educational excellence. I told my early college students, you don't come to Georgia State to make C's and D's and F's. You come to Georgia State to make A's and B's, and we're going to help you do that. So you just don't put it out there. You put it out there, and then you help. Where are the supports and the resources that you need? And so it's not enough, because what's going to happen after high school? Like you need, again, we talked about content mastery. Are you mastering what you need to master in high school so that you can have a successful post-secondary, whatever that is, whether it's post-secondary going to, college, post-secondary going straight into the workforce, post-secondary going to be an apprentice? You're not going to be successful with these, because you're not gaining all the knowledge you need. So, And as you know, it's a lot doing extracurricular activities. It takes a lot. It's a lot.
Because you got the practice after school, then you have to go home and do the homework.
Right. It's a lot.
What role does the board play in the school? Like, I guess that's what you're saying, that they make the policies, I guess.
They make the policies. They're responsible for the overall governance of the entire school system, and they're considered to be the bank. They have to do the budget. They have to create a budget, and it has to be, the budget is approved. So the board is not in the day-to-day runnings, of the school, but they create policies that then provide for an effective day-to-day running of the schools, the school system.
And then with that third point of our mission with the superintendent, what qualifications do you think the superintendent should have? And should he live in Rockdale County and his kids go to Rockdale County?
Okay.
Him or her.
Okay. So for me, I hold educators in high esteem, not just because I'm an educator, but because of our mission. So I'm a person who is willing to be the head of an educational institution has to have such high morale, such high character, and just a mission to support and help all the kids of all different levels. That should just be coming out of his skin, oozing out of his bones. Like, we should know that about this person. I do believe that because the educational system is the bedrock of a community, that the person who runs the bedrock of the community should live in the community. Yes, I believe that.
Yes.
I do believe that. Now, I am going to shy away from telling a parent how to parent their child. I just won't do that. I would love for the superintendent to have enough faith in him or herself, have enough faith in the school system that they're running such that they want to send their children to that school. I would love that. But I shy away from telling parents how to raise their children because, like I said, I have Eva. Eva has sensory processing disorder, and she will go to the school system that best suits what she needs, the environment that best suits what she needs. And I want it to be Rockdale. Right now, she's not old enough, to be here. But I will say that. But yeah, it has to be a person of such high character, a person who just has the expertise and the knowledge also, and the person who is a people person. You have to be a people person. I believe that when a superintendent walks into any school, especially a school size, a school system the size of Rockdale with only 15,000 people, everyone should know him or her name. Right. You walk in any school, they should be saying, "Good morning, Superintendent so-and-so. Good morning, Superintendent." They know the superintendent, want to come and hug the superintendent, shake hands with the superintendent, or say, "Oh, I'm going to straighten up because I know what the superintendent expects of me."
And it could be a good thing for the kids because it's kind of like an early thing of politics in a way. So get them learning a little bit about that. So.
I think just knowing that someone at that high level cares about you, can you imagine, you sitting in your class, your 7th grade class, 12th grade class, and he knows or she knows your name, and just he's like, little bitty old me, right. That would just put so much confidence in the student, and want to not disappoint, when you have students who don't want to disappoint their high, the people who are there to care for them, their teachers, administrators, superintendent, that speaks volume. Yeah. So yeah, that's how I think about it.
When we was talking about the sports, where do you put the athletics program in the budget? Like, where does that stay with you?
So we understand that for a lot of people, a lot of young people, sports is their reason to get out of bed. Sports is their reason to come to school. I like I said, I played sports, and I was around a number of young people, girls, who only stay eligible during basketball season. That was the only reason for being there. Yeah. And so it has to be important. It has to. We have to put money into sports. Sports has been a vehicle for many of our students to change their lives, the trajectory of their lives, and their families' lives. So that's important. And it makes for a much more rounded person. I knew I was going to college. College is in my bloodline. That's just what we do. My grandfather went to college, so I knew I was going to college. But sports was so important. Like to this day, CJ, if I see my coach, my 7th, 8th grade coach, basketball coach, I'm scared of her. I had that much respect for her. I really did. I saw her, CJ. I really saw her like a couple of years ago when I was running the early college program in Georgia State, and she was bringing some students there for a basketball camp. I was like, oh God, I got a little scared. I'm grown, CJ. But I got a little nervous because she did not play. That coach said, we were a winning team. We were a championship winning team, but she did not play.
When I went to Salem, that's the same way with the band director. I knew the band director after high school, and every time I seen him in the community, hey, how you doing? Stuff like that, And him and the original principal held that school together until, yeah. So, and they all I think they both retired at the same time. Mr. Rouser, I think his name is,
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that community relationship plays a vital part of a kid's life as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's so important.
But according to the parent handbook, parents should most become familiar with information in the handbook. What is your measurement system ensuring parents and students understand the information?
Well, one, as the person has said, they're supposed to sign it. I know I have to sign the parent handbook every year with my child. It is up to me to read through it. I mean, it's up to me to talk to the teacher or talk to the administrator if I have questions. And so first thing is just make sure you get all the signatures back. You get it back. But again, like I said, I wholeheartedly believe in meetings. I wholeheartedly believe in teachers reaching out to their students. Teachers reaching out to their parents. I remember my principal used to tell us, don't let the first call you have to a parent be an issue phone call. You go and you call your parents before and just talk about at the beginning of the school year and say, you're so happy that, CJ is in class with us. We're expecting great things from CJ. And I hope to continue to have a good relationship with you, Mom. And that should be your first phone call. And I know some of the high school teachers probably rolling their eyes and say, I have 150 kids. I don't have time to do that, Dr. Davis. But when you set the groundwork, maybe you don't have to do it with every child, or maybe you do it with the child that could possibly be the issue. Like, okay, I had a parent who on the first day, it was not even the first day of school, it was orientation, the open house. And she said, at that time I was Miss Harris. She said, Miss Harris, he is bad. His name was Malik. Malik is bad. I said, we are not going to say that. We are not going to speak that into existence. We're not going to claim that this year. Malik is going to have a great year this year. And he did. He struggled academically because Malik didn't want to do work, but he was not a bad child at all. Malik had different, he expressed his genius in different ways. Malik was, he's not going to write anything down. He'll speak it. That's Malik. Malik, like on the social studies test, if you ask him about the material, he can tell you. But writing it down, his thoughts get jumbled up,
That was my problem. I hated tests. So it's like,
Yeah.
And that's all the teacher need to do in school is take a test, pretty much. And is that still the same process now? Or how can we change that? Like, let teachers be able to learn, or teach, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's I understand that we still have milestones, we still have state standardized tests, we have mandated state standardized tests, and a lot of the teachers have complained about all the tests because in order to do well in the state standardized test, then the local school district will implement tests leading up to that, and so they do get frustrated by all the tests. But I will say that some of the teachers, at least at Lorraine, have said that the school district has been kind of listening and not making them do as many tests. So you definitely don't want to teach to the test, but it is high stakes. And we understand as teachers that we want our kids to shine because as you were asking me about the statistics come from the test,
Right.
So we know people look at that. So it's a balance. I never taught to the test. My kids did well on the test, but I never taught to the test. We usually take the test in April. So towards like February, March, we start taking practice tests. But I didn't believe in teaching to the test. But it's a balance. It's a balance you gotta,
Of course. Do you think the current principals in place are satisfactory fit for each school that they are in?
I'm not going to make a
and if you have met them all, because we have a lot of schools.
Yeah, there are. I've met some of them. I've heard some stories and everything. And because I have not met all of them, because I have not sat with them, I don't want to make a blanket statement. I have my own thoughts about some of them. But I rather hold that thought. I rather hold that thought to me meeting with them. There are, I rather hold that. I know.
Can the board?
I know that.
Can the board fire a principal, or how does that work?
Oh no, that has to be. So let me say this: the superintendent will make the recommendation to the board, and the board has to agree or not agree. And if the board has confidence in that superintendent, and the superintendent has laid out a sufficient claim, then for the most part, the board would say yes. Because the
same with hiring, I guess, too.
Yes. Yeah.
Another one. So do you have to, talking about the districts again, so you don't have to live in the district for what your post is in?
As board, no, because I don't have, post 5 doesn't mean Lorraine district. Post 5 just means post 5. There's 7 of us, and I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's all that means. There's just 7 of us, and now I'm running for the 5th slot. So because we're all at large, so that means the whole county votes for us. Yeah.
Gotcha. And then, do you think the current school board knows their duties or responsibilities? If you want to.
I don't know. I'm not going to speak to their. Well, I could speak to their knowledge. Well, at least a couple of them because they've told me. So let me just say this: I don't think they exercise their duties. I don't think all of them appropriately exercise their duties. Many of them have abdicated their duties and given their duties and their powers over to the superintendent. And when that happens, there is an imbalance of power, and you're not going to have a successful school system with that. Yeah.
Right. So how do you choose what's supposed to run for, or how does that work as well?
Yes, I had to choose to run for post. Yes.
Gotcha. And then I think we got a big question here. Let's see what he says. How do you, as a board member, know what's going on in the classroom? You must go to the spot. So each Board of Education member must visit one school per month to observe, and then provide a quarterly report regarding their findings. During the BOE meetings, so the taxpayers know that BOE members are informed, ensuring taxpayers' funds are being invested in efficiently. Your thoughts? So I guess saying, that you can go into the school, I guess.
So board members are allowed in the school. It's just that you just have to let the superintendent know you're going. And of course you have to, it's appropriate, it's proper to speak to the person who leads that school, which is the administration. You don't want any administrators, any principals to feel like you're usurping their power and you're not respecting that they're the leaders in that school building. So first you let the superintendent know. Two, you reach out to, first you want to reach out to the principal to make sure it's okay. Not just it's okay, but they don't feel like you're trying to usurp their power and not respect who they are as building administrators. And then you let the superintendent know, and then you go. When I was PTO president, I invited all of the board members and the superintendent out to our fall festival. Now that was after hours, but as a PTO president, I didn't have the power to invite them during the school day. So I invited them after school hours so that our parents could get to know our board members and everything like that. But I'm a school visitor. I believe in being in school. That's just who I am. I wholeheartedly, I visit and volunteer at my child's school. When I ran the early college program, I had 8 schools, 6 schools in APS, City Schools of Decatur, and Drew Charter School. Oh, I was at the schools because you have to know what's going on at the school. You have to know the culture from which the children were coming from to come to Georgia State. And you have to know the culture, the operations, and all that stuff. I remember I went to Washington High School. For me, I've always had a knack for children. I've always had a knack for schools. I went to Booker T. Washington High School, the west side of Atlanta. And I was just we just partnered with that school through the early college program at Georgia State. Those students and I did not mesh. And I'm distraught because I mesh with students. That's just what I do. But I didn't mesh with them. So what did I do, CJ? I came up to the school when I didn't need to come to the school. I came up to the school and I sat in the front office because I needed to understand the culture of that school. I need to understand what was going on so I could connect to these students. So I bring that same, as a board member, I will bring that same energy. I already had in my mind that I was going to call each school and ask them, hey, can I come visit your school? Not to step on your toes, not to usurp your power. I just want to hear from you. I want to hear from your administrative team, from your teachers, from your students. And I just want to sit. I can be a fly on the wall. I just need to understand what's going on. I'm good with that's just who I am as an educator, as a person. So I will bring that same. I can't not be that. I can't not be that. So I have to be that as a board member.
All right. And going back with saving money, for that program you ran out of money, is that right? Or ran out of funds?
So I'm told it was the federal government gave a lot of money going towards.
So it was federally funded. Gotcha.
Yeah, it was federally funded through monies from COVID. And so that's gone. And so is the program. But when you have programs that are really working, like CJ, I write grants. Grants because in the school system, there just isn't a lot of state funding. So you have to write grants. So what is our grant writing team doing? Because we knew the funding was going away. Like we do that. So why are we writing grants to keep up with this these types of programs that are that work?
Well, with that question, I was going to ask, with the many vehicles the school system have, do you think that the superintendent should have SUV and all that kind of good? Can we save money there? Or how,
right.
What do you think?
Right. So I understand the need to have a vehicle when you want to go visit schools, because you may not necessarily be able to should use your own vehicle. I do not agree with having a vehicle that you take out of the county to go to your home in a different county. I do not agree with that. You have your own personal car. You can use your car to go home. You can use your car to get to work. Now, should you have to use your car to go visit 11 elementary schools? Should you have to use your own personal car to visit? I don't necessarily believe that, so yeah.
Do you think we should have, like, if we save money from that way, that it could lead for more grants, or like whatever grants, or like put the money where it needs to be put?
I believe, the money should be closer to the school, closer to the student, closer to the teacher. I definitely believe there can be savings that can be had from taking money from the top of the district and bringing it all the way down. Definitely. Definitely.
And what part of it does the board member have in the millage rate? And I know ours is like probably the highest ever, but what is your thoughts on that?
So from my understanding, the board plays a major role in setting the millage rate. And so it's up to us to understand the needs of the school district balanced with the needs of the community. Yeah, because we're all one. There's no separate from the commission, the chair, the Chamber of Commerce. I went to speak to Keller Williams, their real estate agents, because that's how intertwined we all are. So yes, we have to look at how the millage rate can support the school district, but how it can also not now put our district, our residents at such an awful position, such that they feel just completely drained by our district, by the school system.
Yeah. Okay, so I had you on for a good while here, so I'll let you, if you have anything else you'd like to say, and then give you a closing statement.
Okay, well, thank you again, CJ, and your audience for having me on. Again, my name is Dr. Tene Davis. I'm running for School Board of Education Post 5. Early voting started on April 29th, my birthday. So I got a chance to vote for myself on my birthday. Y'all got a little emotional. Know, right? I did, but I went on and signed my name, checked me off. So please, if you can, go ahead and vote during early voting. But if not, you want to wait until May 21st, is your right as a citizen to wait till May 21st on election day. But please consider voting for me, Dr. Tene Harris, Post 5, School Board of Education.
Gotcha. And how can people volunteer and sign up for your campaign?
Please feel free to go to my website, votetenedavis.com. My email address is on there also. I think, will my information be on your site?
I can put it on there when I post the video. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So please, if you want to
that, and I'll.
Okay. Yeah. If you want to sign, you can ask for a sign. If you want to volunteer, please just let me know, because my email address is on there also. Tene@votetenedavis.com.
All right. And I will, when I post this video, I'll post all the information that you need, so you can get in contact with her. Okay. So, anything else from here that you would like to?
That's it. Thank you again.
Yes. So again, we'll get in contact again with that parent-teacher class.
Oh, I would love to. Thank you. Thank you, CJ. I would love to.
That's what this platform is going to be. It's for the community, not just for politics, because I'm about to open it to, like I said, businesses, and they're going to come on here. So I want this platform to be for the community, so they know the information they need to know.
That's wonderful. Thank you, CJ.
So I appreciate you, and I'll close you out. Y'all have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You all too.